Hi yogis, Katy here. So for our free tutorial video this month, I'm doing headstand, and this is going to be like the introductory headstand. If you haven't done inversions before, you haven't done headstand before, how to keep you safe and how to get you into it. So I recommend having a blanket for this video for the top of your head, and that's really all you need. We'll get started here in a second. All right, so this is going to be a three-part video series. The first part, as I mentioned, is going to be part of our free tutorial. If you want more headstand tips, the intermediate and advanced, be sure to sign up on our Patreon account, patreon.com/KatyDoesYoga, P-A-T-R-E-O-N, Patreon, and Katy, K-A-T-Y. So that's where these other videos will be. But in this first part, we're going to do introductory headstand. And I'm going to show you tripod headstand and a basket weave headstand. So for tripod, some people feel like it's easier than the basket weave, others vice versa. I'll let you be the judge. One thing I want to say, two things actually, very important about headstand. It's easy-ish to hurt yourself. I mean, I don't want to scare anybody, and I hate to say that, but you are putting pressure on the top of your head, and if you're not doing it correctly, you can hurt your cervical spine. And my friend that's a chiropractor says really the only injury he sees from yoga is people hurting themselves in headstand. So it is something you need to be careful about, and that's also why I want to do this video, is so that it will help you do it safely. So one thing I want to say, big safety point, is not everyone can do tripod headstand comfortably. It's about your bones, not about how good of a yogi you are. If you put your arm up and your elbow is below the crown of your head, you're not gonna be able to do tripod headstand very comfortably or safely. And that's just the length of your bone. It has nothing to do with anything else. That's just how you're born, and your bones are that way. So as you can see, mine doesn't, so it's okay for me. But I have seen other students and even other yoga teachers where their elbow, this bone in your arm is shorter than the distance between their shoulder and their head. So when you get upside down, you don't have the support of your arms in the same way. So all the pressure is on the crown of your head, and it can be very uncomfortable and can lead to injury. So if you're feeling a ton of pressure in your neck, maybe just doing that quick little check, looking in the mirror, is this arm bone shorter than the crown of my head? Give you a good indicator of whether or not you should try tripod headstand. The other thing, my absolute rule, those of you who take my class in person know that I don't really like absolutes when it comes to yoga. I think it should be modified for everyone and everybody, and you can do your own thing. This, not so much. Absolute rule from me, no kicking into headstand. So I see a lot of times people will put the crown of their head on the floor. I don't care whether it's a tripod headstand or a basket weave headstand. If you put your head on the floor and you kick up, there's a risk of toppling over, going to the side, hurting your neck, pinching a nerve, bulging a disc. All kinds of bad things can happen. That's how you end up seeing my friend the chiropractor that sees people for yoga headstand injuries, okay? So no kicking. If you don't have the core strength to get your hips up, to get your legs up in headstand, stop trying it for a little bit. I know that's not a popular opinion among certain teachers or schools of yoga, but just work on building your core strength first, do other things, and then revisit it when you're a little bit stronger. Because if you're relying on kicking up and you don't kick carefully, or you kick too hard, or you just kick wrong, it's not worth risking a neck injury over. Yoga, in my opinion, is a practice to keep your body safe, to keep your body healthy, especially your joints and your spine. It's not about doing a pose, forcing yourself into a shape so that you can show off or take a picture for social media. Okay, in my opinion. So with those two things in mind, that's the most important part, really, of this introductory headstand video. So if you don't learn anything else, learn that, okay? So for the tripod headstand, it's a little bit more complicated to set up than maybe people realize in the beginning. So for form, you're gonna start on hands and knees, and then you're gonna grab the outsides of your arms. So you wanna grab your triceps, and then take your hands out in front of you. Now, where your hands rest is where the crown of your head is gonna go, where your palms are. And then where your elbows are, you're gonna move your hands back to that spot. So it's just to set you up. I see a lot of times people get here and then they're like, ploop, and then they try to do their headstand, okay? No, yeah, it's just for reference, all right? We're just measuring essentially. So it's just giving you that reference to move your hands back, to put the crown of your head down, and then you'll start to lift your hips up. Now, where's the crown of your head? Surprisingly enough, it's not where most people think it is. I see a lot of times people putting weight like right here, kind of like just right at the top of their scalp or the very back of their head. If you take your thumb and you put it between your eyebrows, and then you take your middle finger, whoop, that should get you about to the crown of your head, okay? So it's right at the very top of your skull, all right? So that's the crown of your head. So you come down, again, grab outsides of your arms, put your hands in front of you. Where your palms stack, that's where the crown of your head's gonna go. So I like to use a blanket, you don't have to. That's where the crown of your head's gonna go, and then you move your hands back to where your elbows were. You put the crown of your head down, you lift your hips up, you can start to walk your feet in a little closer. Then, just like you would in crow, you can start to put your knees on your triceps. This might be as far as we get, and that is awesome, okay? Feel free to stay here. If you have the core strength, you can start to lift your hips up, and maybe your knees just stay tucked. Maybe you start to lift one or both legs. Maybe you play with finding the wall first, okay? When you come down just as carefully as you went up, okay? So you can hurt yourself just as easily, crashing down, not coming down the right way, rushing yourself, not engaging your core as you can if you were to try to kick up improperly. So you notice, I didn't kick to get my hips up. I lifted my legs gently one at a time onto my triceps, and then I lifted my legs from there. Okay, so all from the core, not using momentum. Same thing if we're doing basket weave. Basket weave is a little less scientific to set up. You don't have to go through that whole measuring process. And the reason we call it basket weave is you just weave your hands behind your head. Your arms are like this. So you come down. It's sometimes feels a little bit more supportive, okay, because you have more of your arm down on the ground. It's tempting in this one to kick, okay, because you don't have your arms to come up to. But instead of doing that, just finding a little bit of lift. Again, maybe you just practice tucking your knees, or eventually maybe we're extending our legs up. Again, when we're ready to come down, you can do one leg at a time. You can do both if you can do it carefully, but just getting used to that idea of being up. When I taught this in class recently, somebody said, you know, I don't feel like my arms are doing anything. A lot of times people's arms don't do anything, okay? But make your arms active. So use, especially in that basket weave, you know, push into your shoulders a little bit like you would in forearm stand, push into your forearms into the ground so that you do have a little bit of support, you know, from your arms if you are feeling a lot of tension in your neck. If it makes you dizzy, lightheaded, stop it. Just stop, okay? Like I said, no yoga pose is worth putting your body in danger over, especially a neck injury or a spinal injury. So if you're feeling lightheaded, if you're feeling dizzy, if you feel like you're about to black out, all of those are signs that this is not something you need to be doing right now, okay? So that is my introductory headstand video. If you want to explore more intermediate and advanced things to do in headstand, be sure to go check out the Patreon page, and let me know if you have any questions or any requests for next month. Thanks, guys. Namaste.